After the end of the university, Adam proposed to me. I haven't told you yet that Adam is my friend and classmate at the university. I met him in my first year of university, we loved each other very much, and we agreed to marry after graduating from university. But my family rejected it without discussion. They told me that he does not have a job yet, in addition to his poor financial conditions, so where will you live? What if you had children? Where will you feed these children? I tried a lot with my father and argued over and over again that I would help him. And we will work together so that we can establish a good life for us and our children in the future. Despite all these arguments and solutions, my parents strongly rejected Adam. I was very sad that they did not respect my desire to marry him. I was finding him the right person with whom I will spend the rest of my life. Because of my love for him, I used to reject any words or opinions that my parents gave me. His love blinded my insight and I was unconscious. I was living in my pink dreams that we would live in a house full of happiness. And we achieve all our dreams that we talked about together. I made the most powerful decision of my life. It is for me to marry him without obtaining the consent of my family, i.e., to put them under a fait accompli. Indeed, one day I ran away with him and we got married. But since he did not have a separate home, we lived in his family's home. She got married in a small room and had no privacy, i.e., everyone entered it without asking permission. As if it is not our private room, they often enter us without permission, disrespectful that we are married. It was a miserable life in every sense of the word. Meanwhile, I decided to work so that I could support myself. My husband was unemployed and he wasn't even thinking of looking for a job. But the shock was that his family was taking half of my salary in return for my presence in their home as if I were not their daughter-in-law. All these things did not sadden me more than it saddens me that my husband was always on the side of his family against me, even if they were wrong. I was always silent, enduring, and consoling myself with my love for him. One day my husband came with the good news that he had found a job. I was very happy that he might help me with the expenses, as I used to spend my entire salary on both of us. On his first day at work, I woke up early, prepared breakfast for him, and prepared his clothes. My joy was indescribable. I asked him to call me to check on his work and how his first day on the job was. It's been 7 hours since he went to work and I haven't received any call from him. I worried a lot and decided to call him. His friend told me that Adam had been taken by the police. I cried a lot and broke down crying, but I said to myself that something wrong had happened or there was a suspicion in the names. Today is my husband's first day at work. I quickly went to the police station, and here was the shock of my life that my husband was arrested in a drug smuggling case. I came home devastated, shocked that my beloved husband Adam is doing this. In addition to my shattered psyche, I found his family waiting for me to scold and accuse me. That I destroyed their son's life and that I pushed him to do this work. Here I cannot tell you my feelings. I am at a moment when I lost my family, which abstained from me after my marriage. I lost the person I trusted and loved and stayed with his family who hated me and didn't want me from the first day they saw me. After several weeks of Mustafa's imprisonment, the court announced that Adam had been sentenced to 4 years in prison. I broke down crying so much I had a hysterical fit. I couldn't believe I had thoughts. What will I do alone without Adam? How will I be able to stay with his family who accuses me of what happened with their son? And many other things. I decided to come to terms with my new situation and be patient with their mistreatment. But the situation was getting worse with time, as I was more like a maid, even less than a maid. Where I used to go to work in the morning to come back and do the work of cooking and cleaning in the house with constant cursing and insults from everyone. This, in addition to taking my full salary, was an incredibly tragic life. I was always silent and did not speak a word. I deserve everything that happens to me, so I didn't listen to my family's words, and I trampled on their word with wrong love and miserable life. I am the only one to blame and the first culprit in everything that happens to me. I'm the one who wanted to live in this hideous swamp. How much do I regret my mother's tears and my father's oppression? How did I not listen to them? And I know in my heart that no one wants the best for a person more than his parents. I learned a lot from my mistakes and paid the price very dearly. So where was my life in the bosom of my parents, and where am I now? Many dark days and nights passed in the house of that family, with fatigue, exhaustion, and humiliation. Also, without money, they take all the money I earn from my work. I logged into the social network to cheer myself up. A little bit, maybe I can escape from my ugly reality. I hooked up with a lot of guys and got a little bit of false happiness. Of course, that was for a very short time. I did not just communicate with them via the internet. I went with many of them on picnics and to restaurants to pass the time and get the attention I needed so much. Until it came to me to go to their homes, and unfortunately I became a prostitute. This made me feel the happiness and the attention I desperately needed. I was making so much money, my husband's family never knew what I was doing. And they don't even care, the important thing is that I bring them money. Every time I came back from a man's house, I cried so hard. I am very disgusted with myself because I am shocked by the reality of the horrible state I have reached. I did not have any friends to talk to and cry for. It hurts me, and I always yearn to see my family and miss them so much. But I don't dare to contact them, they have every right to be upset with me. I broke their heart and did not respect their fear for me and my future. I stored all the money I was making on a credit card. I used to buy what I wanted and even strengthened my character against my husband's family. Now I no longer need them, but on the contrary, they obey my orders and fear me. When I met men in their homes, my relationship with them would end as soon as I left their house. We both took advantage, and one day I got a message from a number that he wanted me to come to him. I thought he was one of the guys I dated. I went to the address in the letter, but the shock was killing me as the maid opened it for me, and as soon as I entered, I found my husband's brother standing in front of me. Out of my fear and shock at the situation, I quickly ran out of the apartment without looking behind me. He was running after me and saying we should talk. After a few moments I stopped and decided to talk to him. He is known for his open-mindedness, unlike his family and my husband. I told him all about my suffering since I left my family and how his mother and his family treated me badly. And that all these things are the reason behind my doing this forbidden act. The shock was that he listened to me and did not blame or insult me, but advised me. He asked to help me stay away from this haram act and told me that he would not tell anyone what he had seen. But in exchange for my repenting and finding another job in the way of halal. I asked him why he was in that apartment, and he told me it was his friend's house. And that fortunately he was there to get me to stop doing this bad business. My husband's brother helped me a lot in knowing the right path, as he taught me to pray. And every day he gave me religious books that illuminated the path of man and answered all questions about life. And how to deal with some things. I asked my husband for a divorce because I was sure that he did not love me and that he was one of the reasons that led me astray from the right path. I asked my family for forgiveness and expressed my remorse to them, and I was so sorry that they forgave me. I decided to continue my way of getting closer to God Almighty, that is, to follow religious lessons. And I found a respectable job with a good salary, and I learned a lot from my experience. And you know that whoever leaves something for God, God will replace it with something better than it. It was a somewhat harsh lesson, but thank God I got up from it before it was too late. Lessons from these real stories. Your choice in this life is only you who will bear the consequence. Be it good or bad.